Welcome back to Krown's Crypto Cave. A little bit of a late morning this morning as taking care of all sorts of kinds of businesses, but we're back. We're back with another week of more action, more opportunities, and of course, as always, want to be wish you the best of the best, the happiest start to your week, so you're safe and safu, a very healthy and nice Monday morning. Let's waste no more time. Let's get in a live stream right here, right now. Bitcoin closing the weekly out and the monthly looming ever so closely overhead. Let's see what's going on, and on the daily look right over here, Bitcoin still holding on for dear life on this yellow 21 exponential moving average, which the intermediate time frame range has not changed at all. It's a 21 exponential moving average right here, and the 377 exponential to the upside. Yes, I do see that the red 10 symbols riding its way as well. I just kind of colloquially refer to them as the same thing. It's just basically the 377. It takes precedence. It's a higher period, and overall, as long as Bitcoin's kind of caught between this area, it's just a trading range. Be a buyer and support, sell and resistance is typically the way that it goes. And we do have the golden cross. Golden cross is confirmed. I'm sure that if you are using a 55 as well, as I know some people like to use, that probably is confirmed as well. Oh, sorry, it's actually not. But regardless of it, they're pretty much interchangeable, and realistically, don't really see too much differences, although as you can see right here, yeah, we actually do have a confirmed golden cross the upside. So my rule is whenever I see one of these things is I'm not bearish unless we're actually below the yellow 20 exponential moving average. And then bearish is the wrong term to be using. It's just I'd be looking for a deeper pullback, which we can discuss in just a little bit, but overall, when it comes down to it, the way that I look at it is the same. Whether you look at it as a golden cross or not the golden cross, as I know there's been a lot of dissenting opinions with that, I'd be using the 21 exponential moving average on the daily to kind of judge if we are going to have that deeper pullback into the 4750, 4800-ish area. So that's kind of the trigger for that. If we do take this area out, then looking for somewhere down around here, right around about 4750, 40. Let's actually go to my drawings. Yeah, right over here in this block right here from 40. Actually, it's 49. And where's the bottom of this baby? Where is the bottom of this baby? I'd want to put it right smack dab on that 50 exponential. Yeah, it's actually about 48 to 49, about $100 range in this blue box territory. So if we do break this area, that's essentially where I'm looking towards. We'll kind of discuss what targets would be like after that, as that'd certainly initiate a more bearish scenario overall, and I'd probably be looking for this next blue box to get hit down around here, in confluence with the white 200 simple moving average. But of course, while we're kind of struggling around this area, it's really, it's really still up in the air. Does Bitcoin take out this area to the upside first and foremost? Well, then we're going to likely see our prior highs and beyond. I mean, that's going to initiate a march towards likely into the 6,000s if that area gets taken out. But here's the thing with the weekly closing, one of the things that we've been watching over the past week was this right here. And first things first, we did kind of close a long-legged doji or a spinning top yield or whatever the fuck you want to call it. A sign of indecision, perhaps even reversal. Volume, decent-ish on it. But here's the thing. If I'm just looking at the weekly, there's a very simple trade to be made. If we take out the low of this guy right here at 49.63 on GDAX, and I'm curious if that's consistent amongst the other exchanges. Yeah, Bitstamp's about $40 higher at 49.91. Finex is going to be on a different... Finex is doing something different. What the fuck is this? Again, dealing with all their very... altruistic activities, most likely. And then we got GDAX coming in right over here. Or sorry, I mean BitMexico coming in right around that 49.60-ish area as well. So here's the thing. No matter which exchange that I look at, if we just take out the wick of the prior, meaning this guy right over here at 49.63 on GDAX and about 5,000 on Stamp, then I would be looking for continuations lower, actually a little bit lower than what we spoke about on that first target. That would be a lower time frame target down to 48, 49. And then over time, I'd be looking somewhere right around the 4,600 level right over here, in confluence with the weekly 21 exponential moving average from a weekly digital time frame perspective. So that's, again, if we just even take 1 cent under the low of last week, that's kind of where I'd be looking towards. One of the easier plays, as you can see on the U.S. dollar exchanges, not the Tether exchanges, but the U.S. dollar exchanges, we are still beholden. We're being held by, is what I'm trying to say about. We're being held by these two moving averages right here. The green 50 exponential movement average and the cyan 89 exponential movement average, which did actually have a bearish cross. And the way that we're kind of reacting along this is telling me that we are respecting this, which... We do not see divergence or convergence on these two. We actually see them quite literally parallel, which would not signal that either side has strength. Of course, because the cross is currently bearish, I mean, that would essentially imply that the bears are technically a little bit on the stronger side. But I want to see these moving averages converge in each other, which would signal that that the bulls are gaining momentum. If they diverge away from each other, then it would signal that the bears are gaining momentum, and that's essentially what I want to see. What it looks like to me on the weekly is that if we do pop back up, I want to see the 50 exponential right around 5250 to act as resistance and be the resistance that you want to see in the world if we are going to have that next move down. That area wants to be defended by the bears. Now, of course, this is the next big thing that we were watching over the past week, and that is the weekly Trollinger bands, which we very obviously did close inside the top Trollinger band yesterday night at 8 p.m. Eastern time once we got this new weekly dildo. So the way they look at this is that we were trading outside of it for the past 3 weeks. We had our first week of closing inside. Typically, that's going to incite a test back down to the 20 simple moving average right over here. Not the 21 exponential moving average, but the 20 simple, which is this brownish skid mark colored moving average. And that is currently around 4,200. Sorry, 4,150 actually. 41.25 if I want to get super exact. So, if technically speaking, that would be the target for these guys. But I do think that this is, it's not going to happen over just the course of like one day or even 1 week. So it will be given some time to probably crawl its way up. So if you are using the Trollinger bands, that's kind of what it's insinuating right now. Now, of course, if you are using the Trollinger bands at the same point in time, that means that we could get all the way up and wick up to the top side of this Trollinger band at 5,400. Yeah, 5,400 area, and reject off there, and then still maintain the overall bearish posturing of what this indicator is suggesting. So going on into our oscillators, we do see weekly Stoics getting a little bit tired over here. They've been getting tired for a little bit for quite some time, and again, just always a good reminder that this is the first time that we've seen these levels since December 2017 when Bitcoin was around $20,000. So a lot of these things just kind of coming into confluence with each other. Also, we do have likely going to be battling some hidden bearish divergence between this point and just any point over here from our October highs that we were putting in. Why do I say that? Well, this is likely to be confirmed as a local high, and that's the thing, is that if we take out the low of the prior week's delta, then this will be confirmed for fact as a local high, and that would incite all the divergence spots, and that would also likely bring us back down, and I'd want to see us test at the very least the neutral zone on the RSI in confluence with the exponential right over here, which we have been away from for a very long time, ever since about February. So that is about almost 3 months now. February, March, April? Yeah, we're almost done with April too. Jesus Christ, man, time just flying by. I'm getting old as fuck. There's white hairs all over my face. It's disgusting, but I've been getting white hairs ever since I'm like 18, so maybe even sooner than that. It's a problem. Hopefully I just don't lose my hair, but I have a feeling that I'm not going to do too well on that front either. Anyways, yeah, so when it comes down to it, usually don't see the weekly RSI stay that far away from the exponential for too long. Like we see this segment over here starting in January, getting retested in about February. I mean, that's just 1 month, and that looks like a long time. This is already about 3 months. I mean, if you want to, maybe you could say a month from that spike down in March. But overall, my point is that, if you are going off of the statistics, it is more likely that we do have a pullback, especially after kind of reaching into the deeper part of the neutral zone for the first time since really, January of last year, January of 2018. So a lot of these things really, just kind of suggesting that we could have a pullback and still be overall bullish in the way that this chart is situated. We don't really incite conversations from a trader's perspective of bearishness until we actually take out the 200 exponential moving average to the downside, in my opinion. That's all the way here at 4150. So that's very, 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 very important, because we spent about 5 months trying to grind this area out, and then before actually breaking it out, and that was the impetus for this massive $1,000 dildo higher, and overall, I would expect that to be strong support if we were to come back down and retest it. So it's, from a trader's perspective, I don't want to be like super bearish, talking about getting back down to prior lows or anything like that until we actually break that area. If we do break that area, then yes, I would be bearish for a move back down at the very least to test the 200 simple at about 3550, 3600, and then over time, if we were to break this guy right over here, the 200 simple at 3550, then I'd actually start taking trades for new lows. So that's kind of the order of operations, so to speak. And again, when it comes down to it, understand I'm speaking on a weekly dollar time frame. This isn't happening today. It isn't happening tomorrow. It isn't even happening next week or the week after that. It's going to take a while, but because we just set a new weekly in stone, it is worth talking about. So let's go down to the lower time frames, because those are more pertinent. Those are more fun to do, and it feels like it feels like some sort of drug. Looks to me like we're kind of working on a little bit of a descending triangle right now. Not perfect, but something like this. You see that the 3-hour 200 exponential is governing price action to the downside, and we're being governed by the 21 exponential to the upside. But again, I don't care what you call these formations. All I care about is how you respond upon supporting resistance. And as you can see right here, resistance right around 52. See, I was calling this 5,200 yesterday. Technically, as you can see, it's actually a little bit higher. If I were to do this like just by the book, it would have been right here, right around 52.20. So yesterday, I think I said if we take above like 52.10, I'd probably be bullish for a move back up and test 53. Nope, wrong on that one. Just because, again, when I'm speaking about these sorts of areas, I'm not speaking exact. I'm speaking more in generalities. But just understand, it's this resistance right here, just basically making higher high over this portion, would have made me bullish for a move to about 5,300. But more importantly, on a weekend, more often than not, you're not going to be breaking ranges. More often than not, yes, every once in a while you do, and it's very devastating. That's what everyone remembers. But those are few and far between, in my experience. Very obviously, we did kind of test the 200 exponential to the downside right over here, got picked up right around 51. So that's very obviously our more preliminary support. If we do break this 200 exponential on the 3-hour delta time frame, which is pretty much right around 5,100. Again, maybe I should be exactly exact with the way that I say these numbers. It's technically 50.90 and 61 cents. Then yes, I'd be looking for a move down in this region. So of course, it's like which one happens first, because there's a lot of signals for taking that next trade to the downside. We could either wait. I could either wait for a 3-hour delta closing below that area. I could either wait for the weekly taking out the prior low. I could wait. Well, that's going to probably happen later, right? So it's not not as helpful. So I would kind of be going with this time frame. It's likely to happen sooner rather than later. But speaking of, while we're on this time frame, 3-hour Stokes still headed down technically, but looking weak to me. Very easily could cross up on the next tick if we end anywhere above about 51.90, and those ones have been a pretty damn good indication for these nice consolidationary periods. Now the problem with these things is that the ranges aren't too big. I mean, it's about a $100 range from high to low, 5,200 to 5,100 if you want to be a little bit more general, but it has been getting them decently. And right now we are technically down, but looking to me like it wouldn't take too much for this one to flip to the upside. Going to the very low time frames, the hourly, we are kind of getting up to the top side on the Stokes over here, but these change around multiple times per day. But these have also been pretty damn good. If I am making the same formation on this time frame, it would likely incite a test back down here around 51.35. Oh, and I completely forgot to bring up my own account. Let me go over this, just because I do want to be very transparent with the way that I relate these ideas. I did go flat yesterday, just because, well, I was actually a little bit in profit, and might as well. It's a fucking Sunday, right? It's a Sunday, and not too much more was to be had. Now, if I would have held on to that for a little bit more, I probably could have eaten some more out, as we did have another like $30 drop somewhere between that time and the end of the day, but sleep was calling, and actually got a good night of sleep last night, and not feeling really allergic to anything right now. So pretty damn good day. So yeah, just for full transparency, yes, I'm basically flat right now. As you can see, if you go to the summation, basically zero, and just I'll be managing these positions. Basically took profit on this 80,000 short from 53 with options on how to manage, which basically, like I just said, if we break a 3-hour delta below that 50, what was it, 90, then yeah, I'll uncover that. I'll probably do it with options, though I won't do it with spot or futes. I'd rather do it with options. Just going to be a lot easier right now. And this account does. While I did take some money out of this account, it actually I could probably stand to put a little bit on my a little bit of strain on my what's it called on my the fucking hell, man, can't think straight today. Margin balance. So there we go. Anyways, yeah, with the way that it's situated right here, not really anything too much interesting about the hourly chart or the very low time frame charts. Like I said, if you're super low time frames, I would be looking for the next move to the downside. Probably tap this trend line one more time, 51.30ish area on GDAX. What is a 2-hour saying right now? Basically same thing. 2 hours going to be death crossing soon, maybe. Then you know what that means. Death sends. No, of course not. Doesn't really mean too much. But it does have carry on over into the other time frames. 4 hour over here, 4 hour. Again, we're not really getting anything too much different from these time frames. But we do see 4 hour Stoics getting, I suppose, a little bit more deep into the bullish control zone. Whereas 4 hour RSI, which gives us more insightfulness into what this actual consolidation is doing, it's actually a little bit more on the bear side, I would say, as we are just stuck in the bearish control zone. Let's move on over to our medium to high time frames. Here's 12-hour Stokes. They actually do want to cross the upside. They will cross the upside if we end this next 12-hour dildo in the next 4 hours and 33 minutes. Anywhere here or higher. And these have been pretty damn good for these bigger moves. As you can see, we are being held, in confluence with that 52.20ish area on the 10 simple and basically the 21 exponential, which actually did have a bearish cross right over here, suggesting a little bit of pressure down. But I do not like. I actually really don't like trading against 12-hour Stokes. Also, 12-hour Jewel. Usually, I like to see this area provide a little bit of a bounce. This is kind of to be regarded as a Fibonacci retracement area. Although, did we already test it over here on the drop down in middle of April? Well, you can make the argument for that. Yes, yeah, it would appear so. Yeah, I would say so. Looking at the RSI, we are kind of trending. We are trending well below the exponential. Probably put in some consolidation in this area and then figure it out from there. Anyways, that's kind of what I want to show is that the higher time frames, we do have some of those puzzle pieces in place. And if I did have to make a move, it would be to the downside. But does that mean that we can't have a move in the interim to the upside? Well, what I'm really waiting for, if I want to put on another position, is another move back up to test this like 5280 to 5300ish area, which, Jesus Christ, what's going on here? Which is right over here, marked off once again by exactly what we started with the blue 377 and the red 10 symbol average. So if we were to pop back up, which to me kind of it feels like it's kind of likely, and I know that feeling's not a good thing to go off of, and realistically, it's also good technical analysis to not really have a position right now. But I'd only want to be a seller on resistance right here, because if we do take that area out, what's very important about this is if we do take this area out at 53, then this thing's going to go much higher. It's going to get a free shot back to its prior highs right around the 5600ish area, give or take, and then probably have a little bit of consolidation, and then higher after that. It's going to have lead on and carry on over into our higher time frames. But just understand where where these resistances kind of come in around, because that's where I want to be taking a position on, because that's where the good risk reward opportunities are. Won't have to risk as much in order to find out if I'm going to be right or wrong on that trade. So let me just check my phone. Going crazy at all hours of the day, as always. Jesus Christ, man. No fucking rest. We do see daily Stokes still down and actually really gaining momentum to the downside, getting in the bearish territory for the first time since early March. We do see daily RSI not really doing anything, just consolidation. RSI still, I would still give the nod to the bulls on the RSI actually. Still kind of holding this area, but the second that we actually take out the neutral zone, it's going to not look as good. Also, the fact is that we have been away from the RSI for quite some time as well. So that's why I'm holding off. While I do think that this week probably is down, and we do take that next leg down, lower time frames to me probably want to pop back up and tag this area. Test this area out one more time. Test that the sellers are still there. Test the upper Bollinger Band. Test the 377 exponential on the daily, and reset some of these oscillators. And then assuming that gets rejected, then probably break the 21 to the downside and make our way down to 48. Give or take, for that first move, and likely about 45 overall, over the next week or two, whatever it might be. So again, that's kind of what I'm looking at right over here. Now, I want to be very specific with what I say, because that was more of an analysis rather than like a trading idea. If Bitcoin takes out 5,300 to the upside, if we even just tick above 5,300 on an exchange like GDAX or Stamp, because obviously Bitfinex is fucking trading at 5,500 right now, it's insane. Then that all goes out the window, and I'd want to be long. So that's why I'm holding off on a trade right here, because the only area that would really make sense to manage risk on would be up here, and that's too much risk in my opinion. I mean, yeah, if you're trading the lower time frames, you could do something like this if you want to be a little more gung ho, have this trend line right here at about 52.20 and manage on there. It's valid, but I think that is probably unnecessary risk. As the week is long and the week is very young. So yeah, keep that in mind. Let's go check out CMEs. What did CMEs do? Yeah, CME's looking at me like a sell. Pop back up, testing the 200 simple right now. We have a lot of resistances in this area. I do look at this as overall, is essentially a rising channel. Is this a rising channel? Whether it's a rising channel or not, it kind of doesn't really matter because we broke this support right here, which is not just confluent with a fuck you. Get off there. Sorry about that. Having my autistic rage is getting the best of me right now in the early morning of the Monday, and coming back up and testing this area. Not only did we break the 200 simple, but if you are looking at this as a rising channel, we would have broken this rising trend line as well. So it's kind of irrelevant to me. Both of them are bad enough, but the 200 simple is being broken is very bad. As long as we respect this as resistance, direction's down. Looking at daily Stokes, I'd want to see support being had right at this trend line, but we're not really getting it right now. Now, of course, the day is young, but we will break this triangle. Do you want to call this, maybe this isn't really a triangle, but we will break this trend line for sure if we close anywhere here or lower by end of day. And you can see that we have the 200 simple staring us right in the face as daily Stokes having a fresh cross to the downside. Daily RSI major bearish divergence between this point and this point right over here, trading well below the exponential. Again, it's going over to the daily jewel, that's a sell signal right there, but we are kind of coming on to support right now, to be fair. We are coming on to support, so it's not fully, I'd like to see them all, I'd like to see all three of them kind of line up for a perfect signal. But, if this one's going to break down, if we actually take out the 21 to the downside of this yellow moving average, like that we come all the way down and test this area. Yeah, 46 is where I'd be looking towards. And CMEs do have, I was going to say that they have a little bit of a discount. They're not really. They're pretty much trading parity with the spot underline, which they should. This is going to be the month expiring like May something rather, but overall, pretty much parity. Okay, all right. So let's look at the weekly for CMEs as well. Yeah, weekly for CMEs looks a lot less inspiring than or a lot less inspiring than spot charts, right? Looks to me like we have a rejection of the 50 exponential moving average right here, which was also kind of the lows of our 2018 segment, which you'd imagine does get sold on the first pass, and where the target be down, right around here, 4,600 around the 21 exponential on the weekly. The thing is, we're also likely to have actually a bullish cross of the red 10 simple and the yellow 20 exponential moving average, but I want to see price action actually test that if it even is going to happen. Weekly Stokes, obviously, basically looking like spot as well, getting way up there. So that's kind of what I'm concerned with. Obviously, when looking at our other higher time frames, I do want to denote this, that's two-day 10 simple, two-day 200 exponential, all right in this range. The 377 staring us in the face as well. They're all right here. So we're kind of laden in resistance. If Bitcoin does break out to the upside, it really is going to run quite far. That's my point. It is going to run quite far. Now, do I take back what I said about Bitcoin taking out 5,300 and going and just marching higher after that? Do I need to see confirmations here? I'm kind of split on this because when I look at the 2-day, you can see that we do have the 200 exponential staring us right in the face at 5330-ish area. So it's still a little bit difficult. 2-day Stokes, though, going to be officially getting back below the critical zone right here. That's usually my signal for actually taking position. Once that confirms, usually that's where the bearish momentum is well underway, and that's where I like to take trades typically, especially in this range, which has called all of the tops or a lot of the tops of the past year. Starting off with your top at 20,000 in December 2017, then we got 12,000 double top in February last year, then 10,000 in May, then 8,400 in August. All major drop downs, all major moves that were like 40% or 30% or more. I think this one over here about 42%. This one over here about 40%. And this one over here about another clean 30%. That's also kind of confluent with what we're looking at on the 3-day jewel. But before we get there, 2-day RSI giving us bearish divergence, trading well below the exponential. That's not good. 2-day jewel, kind of a weaker sell signal. Not my favorite to take though. That's a kind of sell signal that looks like it bounces actually. But it's a 3-day over here that I really want to spend some time on. The 3-day RSI is trending below the exponential for the first time since February, beginning of February. And really, if you wanted to even take that back a little bit further, you could say since December, middle of December, which was our current low. So, except for this like one-off right over here on this little bit of a snake around, pretty much has been above that exponential ever since the low was put in over here. That's my point, is that this is the first time we've actually taken it out. Also putting on, well, do we have divergence on this chart? We actually technically do not, just because RSI made a slightly higher high, a very ever so slightly higher higher high. 3-day Stokes crossing down as well. Another thing that has seemed to have called a lot of major moves down Want to see it get below the critical zone right over here, and we will be getting another tick on this on May 1st. So that's 2 days. So tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is when we'll actually get it. And then most importantly, and I think what I've been spending the most time on and attention on, is a 3-day jewel, which does have everything present that I'm looking for on a sell. However, I do want to scroll this out, and I do want to talk about some contingencies with this, because there are, let me actually just explain this first. So the jewel, which I fucking keep on forgetting to talk about, I'll be raising the price of it on May 1st, at the end of the month, essentially. Anyways, and if you're in the technical analysis program, I want to make sure that you understand that I'm happy to give you a massive discount on it. So just reach out to me and I'll set that up for you. But for now, let's actually talk about this, because Jesus Christ, I'm having trouble with my words right now. Each and every time that we see it signal red, and we need to see it signal red in the background, then we want to see the light blue oscillator into the more critical zone above the 80 marker at the very least. And then we want to see the light blue oscillator get a negative slope. And if you want to be super conservative, I want to see the light blue oscillator get below the critical zone then as well. Those seem to call all of these major tops extremely, extremely well. All of them except for one. But even that one was still pretty fucking good. So we'll just kind of measure them out. I mean, some of these are certainly more than others. The ones coming off the parabolic tops are like just insane. 70% drop downs just a few ticks later, which realistically is like a couple weeks, maybe even 3 weeks later, because each and every one of these dildos is what's called 3 days worth of price action, called the low of 2014, 2015, pretty much to the T. Then we had this guy right over here. 40% drop down, and that's kind of what they typically do. 35% drop down right over here. Between like 30 and 40% is where I'd really have my money on, except for this one off right here, which I do want to speak directly towards. Now this one off right here, where we flash red in the background for just a second, and we just barely even get our little toesy woesies into the more critical zone right here. We got up all the way to about an 83 read on the right hand side, as you can see. Let me just make sure that I'm actually recording. Okay, good. Microphone is working. Oh my God, thank God. That would have been so devastating right now. And in this one right over here, even though it wasn't, it was not a perfect signal, it still actually did get a decent downwards move. And that is what, about 8 to 10% move. If I actually get that correctly, it's probably more like a 10% move. And the thing is that actually kind of reminds me of what we're doing right now, because we have everything present, right? We have red in the background, we have the light blue oscillator above the critical zone, and we have a negative slope. But we don't really see the light blue oscillator get like super deep into the reds, into this territory. Like the really good ones that have 30% plus, I mean, in some cases all the way up to like 60 to 70%, are getting really deep into this area. They're getting all the way to like the 90 read. This one over here got up to even less than the example that I just showed, right around 82. So can I expect this one to play out a lot? Well, I have a few ways of kind of relating this. In the way that I look at it, I would actually want to see the light blue come back down to the pink, and that's where we should actually have some support. You can kind of see this was a resistance on the way up between these pair of tops. I'd want to see it support a little bit right over here. So I could say that gives it a little bit more room to fall. But going through the past prior examples, that's not always the case. They're actually bunched up more often than not for the big ones, and then it just releases it. Now this one right over here, they weren't as much bunched up. They're actually kind of spread out a little bit more. So it's difficult. This is the first time that I've really seen a signal like this, so I'm not quite sure what to make of it myself, to be quite honest with you. For now, I would be cautiously bearish, just based off the other indicators, kind of in confluence with it. Never going off of one single thing in general, but if I had to pick a direction, it probably would be to the downside. Not only that, but we do have this yellow 21 exponential moving average and 50 exponential moving average crossing the upside. That would be a bullish cross right over there. And so we've had a couple of these crosses in the history of Bitcoin. The last time that we actually had one was right over here in October 2015, right around $275, which led Bitcoin all the way up to $20,000 after that. So pretty damn good, right? Or the time before that, though, was on this segment right over here. We actually crossed them to the upside, but this one got faded quite quickly. And you see this a lot when you have like a long counter trend, and then like the first counter trend cross after a long after a long trend is usually going to get sold into. And this one amounted to what? 38% drop down. That number sounds very familiar. Just as we were looking at before, all these drop downs right over here. 30 to 40%. Looking at the jewel, 30, 40%. Looking at, if I'm sure if we put on the MVT signal, it's going to show the same thing. It's showing the same fucking areas. But if we do put up on the MVT signal, I do want to show that this thing is also just another confluent signal saying, hey, from a fundamental perspective, the network value divided by the daily transaction value is showing that this is typically a major toppy area. Called all the major tops in Bitcoin's history perfectly, and as well as the bottoms. And right now, we are doing everything from this perspective that I want to see to kind of confirm bearish momentum beginning, kind of backtesting this and showing what I'm looking for. I want to see it signal red, but just because it's signaling red is not good enough. I need to see it signal red and then break the orange moving average, which we see happen over here at $19,220. It signals red all the way over here, starting at like 11,500. So, just hitting the red button as soon as that happened, not a good idea. But it's not until it breaks right over here where the bearish momentum really begins to happen. Well, have we done that over here? Well, yes, we confirmed that yesterday, actually, or maybe even 2 days ago. So we are trading well below that area. Also of importance, we need to see a few other things. We need to see, going back to this example, once we have those two stones in place, and I want to see daily SOAKs cross to the downside below the critical zone. Then I want to see daily RSI. It doesn't need to be bearish divergence, but does need to be below the exponential. Then I want to see daily jewel. This one did give a perfect sell signal. It doesn't need to be that, but I need to see it having a negative slope. Well, what are we doing in the current moment in time for Bitcoin? We do see daily SOAKs are way down there. This is the furthest down that I think I've seen them start from, actually, when getting a signal like this. Daily RSI broke the exponential, days ago. So again, another cautionary signal. It's not really looking like the other ones, to be honest with you. And then daily jewel did give a sell signal over here. Fair enough. That was a pretty good one. So fair enough. And that was on our current high. But how much more downside do we have on this? Yeah, kind of a free fall into this next territory, I'd imagine, right around the 38.2. But where does that put price? Actually, maybe down about 48. So here's the thing, if we are going off the prior precedent set from the past prior weaker signal on the 3-day jewel, we did have about a 10% drop. Well, we've kind of already had that. So I am cautious in this area, and I do want to be agnostic, regardless of what the indicators are saying. If I had to pick direction, I would pick down, but just because I'd be picking down does not mean I'd short right here. No, I'd really want to short. There's two scenarios that I want to short on. If we can break the low, if we can actually close like a 3-hour dildo below that 5100-ish area, or if we can pop back up here and I can get a position somewhere around the red 10 simple, right around 5250 to 5300, and then manage risk right above that. Maybe give it some room to breathe right around 5350. I'll have to kind of see it in the moment, because this is a very delicate situation right here, as the stakes are high. If we move to the downside, likely going to be a waterfall. If we move to the upside, likely going to be a rocket ship. That's the whole thing. So I want to really be positioned to get onto the momentum rather than guess the right direction. But I would say that more indicators point to the downside. Absolutely. The one big thing that's kind of holding me back, though, is the fact that there are a significant amount of shorts on Finex, just levels that we haven't seen in a very long time. And this is where the bus starts to get a little bit more full, above 30,000 open shorts versus 18,000 open longs. Also, these shorts are paying a very high fee. The daily interest rate is 0.1%, which you're going to be paying like $6,000 to $8,000 a day to hold $1 million in position size on Finex margin or short. That's going to start to eat into you. And these people have been holding these positions for now a few days. And let's kind of look at what price they're getting at. We can go over here to our shorts chart on Finex. I'd say that a lot of these shorts started going up, well, especially on the 18th of April, but I'd say like just straight parabolic since the 23rd. So let's go look at those areas. 23rd of April was right here. So these guys all got in around 50. Let's call it like 5350, 5400 average price. So if price action gets back around those areas to test those guys, you're probably going to trigger some stops. And if we go with the even more lenient one down around here on like the 18th of April, or I think it was the 18th of April that I said, that's going to put you right around the 377 exponential, right around 53. So there's going to be stops in those areas, and if Bitcoin is going to have a big down move, it's likely that those guys get tested first. That's also why I want to kind of sit back for a second. Do I miss out on a few bucks if we turn down from here? Yeah, I do, but that's trading, man. That's trading. Just want to get on the right side of the momentum and have a more, and make money instead of just put money at risk. So that's kind of what I'm thinking right now. And what I wanted to show over there. Did I show everything that I want to show on Bitcoin? I believe I did, except for the monthly, which we can just briefly go over. The monthly is going to be closing obviously in one day, tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. So all this is going to be incredibly important. Do we end above or below the yellow 20-minute exponential moving average? And I'd actually supersede everything that I'm about to say on all the other timeframes with this. If I wanted to make trading easy on myself, I would wait for this monthly to close. If we close above this yellow 20-minute exponential moving average at 52.50, I would be looking for a move much higher, not just into this, likely not just to our prior highs, but likely into the 6,000, 6,200, 6,300, something like that. Very similar to what we saw over here in March when we were saying, hey, if Bitcoin closes above the 50, I'm bullish. If Bitcoin closes below the 50, I'm bearish. Essentially, if Bitcoin closes below the green moving average, I'm bearish for new lows. If Bitcoin closes above, I'm looking for a move into the 4,000s. Well, that got overshot a little bit. And I just kind of want to speak directly to the validity of this. So if we actually did close above that area, I'd be looking for a move at the very least to about 62, 6,300, and then probably beyond. I personally speaking, I think that we test 7,000 after that. By the same token, if we do close this monthly below the 20-minute exponential, it's not necessarily a death sentence in the way that I think people might think it is, but it would suggest that the bots and the algos are selling this on the first pass, which is very, very common, and would likely incite and be the impetus for retesting those lower levels that we spoke about. Of course, first target would be like, what did we say, 4,800, then 45, or was it 46, or maybe that's just another zone, something like that, and then 40, and then 4,150 or 4,200, whatever it was down there. Again, there's zones. It's not like it's just a straight line. It's like that's it. It gets tapped, and you got to make your decision there. No, it's an artist eye here. So yeah, again, this has had some play in Bitcoin's history. When we lost the 21 exponential moving average in 2014, 2015, that's when things got very dire, and we were sent all the way onto our dildos of death and decay over here to our capitulation low in 2015. And once we regained the 20-minute exponential moving average right here, well, that was the glory times all the way to $20,000. So Bitcoin tested it, 1, 2, 3, 4 times before actually breaking it to the upside. More often than not, you're going to get rejected on your first pass, just by the nature of the way that the bots and algos are programmed. We also do have a bearish cross on these moving averages between the red 10 simple and the yellow 21, a lower period cross and the downside of a higher period. So if the problem is that if we do reject off this area, if we do sell off, that's going to imply that this cross wants to be played. And if this cross wants to be played, likely that we do go back down to the lower 4,000s and probably beyond. But I'd feel comfortable with saying back down to the lower like 4,150, 4,200. That's what I'd feel very confident with saying, and then probably beyond to the prior lows, and then we'll figure it out from there. Like I said, I only start trading for new lows when Bitcoin breaks the 200 simple on the weekly. Although we can talk about that, if we start breaking the 200 exponential at 4,150, then we can start talking about it. But for right now, as a trader, not really, not really too appropriate. Looking at our monthly Stokes, they are wanting to cross the upside, just like they were in 2014, 2015 in June. But what happened in June in 2014, 2015? We were marching all the way up to what? The yellow 20-minute exponential moving average, and then sold off there for a 30% drop down. Well, fuck, And let's actually measure this out a little bit. What would happen if we dropped off 30% from this high? Where would that put us at around? What's this? 4,000. Actually, funnily enough, right around my entry on this long, on my long in the perps. So funnily enough, actually just right around there, which has been nice collecting funding on this. So I wouldn't mind that. Certainly wouldn't mind that at all. Let's see what's going on over here. Jesus Christ, man. What's going on over there? All right, cool. So yeah, that's what I have. That's what I'm looking at right now. There's a lot of confluent signals with that. I'm also going to bring up something else as we are getting close to the end of the month. I want to bring up the accumulation distribution indicator, the net delta indicator, which is at a decision point. This is a decision point. I only care about the slope of this indicator. If the slope is positive, I'm bullish. If the slope is negative, bearish. Right now, is our slope positive or negative? Well, it looks kind of more flat than anything, but I guess it's like a little bit negative. We're going to need to see the next tick on this. We're going to see the next tick on this, but you'll notice like we put in our lows, when this started to tick up, then we're going sideways for this past month, which is represented by this grinding behavior that we've kind of been stuck around the lower 5,000 levels. So the way that the slope of the next tick is going to be the decider. If the slope is negative, likely going to go down. If the slope is positive, we probably do continue onwards and upwards. Of course, on monthly RSI, we are testing the exponential on this, or I consider this a test of the exponential on this first time in about a year. Usually the first time that you come back and test an area like that, it's a little bit shaky. Again, a lot of the time bots and algos will just sell those areas just by the nature of their programming, right? Okay, all right. Showed all of that. Okay, we spoke about CMEs. Good. Do we want to talk about GBDC? We can talk about GBDC for a second here. GBDC daily looks bearish to me. Daily looks like it wants to fall off a cliff, down to 569. Weekly closes a massive rejection. Monthly, look, and this is what I'm talking about. Monthly is selling off the 21 exponential moving average. We are also below the 10 simple, so respecting this cross, it's not the best setup. We do have monthly soaks to the upside though, to be fair. And the thing with GBDC is that we actually don't have too much price action history. We have all the way back to 2015, so it's not too helpful. But you can see that the 21 does get some play here. When we're above it, we're generally bullish. When we're below it, that's when the bearish momentum began. So yeah, again, GBDC would be a little bit more on the bearish side, I'd say. Let's go back to we looked at the daily. What about the weekly? Yeah, looked at the weekly. Weekly Stokes going to be crossing the downside as well. Let's go look at the other top shitcoins. What are they doing? We got, you know what? Let's, instead of looking at Mr. Buterol on Finex, Finex looks bullish. Finex actually looks bullish, but let's look at it on BitMexico. BitMexico does not look bullish. BitMexico looks bearish. BitMexico looks bearish AF. This is not a good setup right here. Weekly Stokes crossing the downside as we break the 21. We're likely to pop back up, test maybe even a little bit above the weekly 21, but probably reject. And it's not going to stop at the 10 simple. It's going to go lower. That's what BitMexico looks like to me. If I'm looking at Bitfinex, that actually looks okay. We could this could look like continuation very easily. Going over to the daily looks like it wants to pop back up to 172 to me. So that's what makes this very difficult right now. Now, very obviously, resistance is right around the 165 level. So, regardless of my thoughts on it, that's where I'd be actually taking trades. If we actually take out 165, not just take it out, but we need to confirm above it, then yes, I'd be looking for a run to the prior high area right around, did I say 172? I meant 175, right around here. By the same token, if we reject from this area, I'd be looking for another move back down into this region. But Finex prices are going to be all wonky because Finex is having a beauty of a time dealing with the New York Attorney General. Good luck with that, Finex. But again, I'm not the person to go to for like news and all that kind of stuff. Check out Crypto Zombie, check out KDub, check out FUD TV, check out Elliot. Both those guys, absolutely love them, super cool guys, and they actually put out good information. So I'm not the person to go to for that, and I'm sure that they've done like great stories on it. But looking at some like this, again, monthly not looking too hot. Monthly not looking too hot as we are kind of rejection off the lowest moving average. What do we say on weekly? Yeah, so it's like the weekly on Finex I could make an argument for. I could be bullish on that. And I'd actually be mega bullish on the weekly, looking towards like 190, maybe 200. But when I look at BitMexico, when I look at the US dollar exchanges, I would not be. BitMexico is bearish. This is a bearish setup. No questions about that. On the weekly, this is bad. And let me just kind of check out. I want to check out just a regular USD exchange. Let's go to like Bitstamp. Yeah, Bitstamp's the same thing. Yeah, pop back up to 158 and a quarter and reject. Bad. That's a bad setup. Weekly Stokes crossing the downside. We're gonna have hidden bearish divergence between this point and this point. It does not look good. Wonder what the monthly looks like on this one. Yeah, monthly's just rejecting ever so cautiously off the 10 simple. Again, that's not a good setup. That is not a good setup. So it's what do you trust more? Do you trust Finex exchanges more, or do you trust US dollar exchanges more? Well, like I said, Finex is having all sorts of issues, and all Tether exchanges are having issues with the uncertainty regarding Tether. So they have these massive premiums, which which really fucks around with the chart. So I'd say that they are less consistent. But if the bots and the algos are programmed off those and they're going off those, off those settings, they're going to respect them regardless. So it's a little bit difficult, but I do not think that the majority of trading goes down on Finex anymore. In fact, if you look at metrics, it does not show that. Although how much do you trust metrics? You can't. It's also been shown massive exposés on them, and I believe Wall Street Journal, maybe it's Barron's, that most of the volume on these exchanges is completely fake. What? You're telling me that is fake? Jesus Christ. Stamp support down around 144, resistance right around 160. It does look to me like it kind of wants to come down. Daily Stokes down, daily RSI. Not telling us too much. Jewel kind of in a bouncy zone, but could easily have another leg down before that. And that next leg down would take us down to about 144. Stellar, let's go to Mrs. Litecoin. Again, same thing here. Looking at the price of Mrs. Litecoin, the US dollar exchange on GDAX is bearish. We're kind of down to that next major support that I'd be looking towards right around $66. When I look at Finex over here, completely different. We're trading at $72.50. Looking at the weekly on Finex, this is fine. Weekly on Finex is completely fine. I mean, it looks like we want to have another stab down, but I'd be looking to be a buyer of that. If I'm looking at this one on GDAX, it does look to me like we probably do try to bounce a little bit here, but I would not discount a move back down to $65.50, $66. If that area does fail, we're gonna go much lower. We're gonna go down to $59.50, and probably it's gonna bounce on there the first pass, but it's not gonna look good after that. Weekly Stokes very much flaccid down, not good. Weekly RSI. Gonna have a chance to lose the exponential here. It needs to get picked up now, this week. Otherwise problems. So yeah, let's go down to the daily on this one. Yeah, daily on this one, I'd be saying $66, kind of like that last big line of defense. If $66 does get taken out on a daily, next targets are going to be 59 and then 47.25. So this is going to be a very important week. Again, it's probably best to just be watching Bitcoin and see what Bitcoin does. And I think Bitcoin has a little bit more of a straightforward chart right now. But yeah, Mrs. Litecoin, those would be my bearish targets. For my bullish targets, would be somewhere right around 74.5 and then 83.5. I think it's a little bit less likely. I think it's quite less likely though. Anyways, let's see what's Cardano doing over here. Yeah, Cardano looking weak to me. Bounce. We already got a bounce to the area that we spoke about. 1400 to almost. This one looks like it wants to come back down to 1200. Weekly closed pretty bad. Yeah, weekly I'd be looking for a bounce back up to 1350. If things get really crazy, maybe 1400. But ultimately, I do believe that it rejects from that area, and we do find ourselves lower over the next few weeks down to 1100. And we'll figure it out from there, like a 12. What did I say? Yeah, but low 1100 area. BNB, the jewel of this market. Weekly Stokes crossing down though. Weekly support all the way down here at $18.50. So here's the thing for BNB. If we take out the low of this last week's dildo at $20.88, I would be bearish for that move down to $18, $18.50. Weekly Stokes, like I said, going to be down. Weekly RSI, man, getting you very rarely see it get that high. Not that it can't get higher, it certainly can. But we've been away from this exponential for so fucking long. To me, it looks like we want to come back down and test it. So I would be saying that in confluence with the rest of the market, I don't think that BNB is going to be strong enough to. I don't think that BNB is strong enough to do its own thing here. But if we're going off the lower time frames, it's quite simple actually. It's quite simple. Resistance right here in lower time frames, 23.25. If 23.25 gets taken out to the upside, I'm looking for a move back to the prior highs and beyond at $25. By the same token, $21.50 is a support to the downside. If this area gets taken out on the daily, not on the weekly, but on the daily, if we take this area out, I'd be looking down somewhere right around here actually, all the way down to here, towards probably like $17. Yeah. Where is that confluent with the weekly? Weekly's a little bit higher actually. Yeah, so weekly would bounce sooner. $18.40. So fair enough. I'd go with the weekly. Let's see. Zcash, bad. Giving up the 21. I mean, we could bounce all the way up to $69.50. That's going to be major resistance. Weekly Stokes getting way up there. What does the daily look like? Yeah, daily does not look healthy. Daily resistance even closer than that, about $64. yeah, your daily stocks are getting down there, but if this thing wants to take a leg down, where's the next target? It's hard to get it because this chart is so fucking ugly with this wick right here. Maybe like $57. That's too. It's too hard. It's too hard. It's too hard to look at it with that massive wick. Bcash, same sort of thing, pretty much same sort of thing. Weekly. Actually, weekly did hold above. To be fair, actually, weekly did hold above. Bcash in one of the better setups, but is it going to do its own thing if the rest of the market wants to go down? No, unlikely. Next target down would be somewhere here, like 226.5 is where I'd be looking towards. Jewel kind of is in a bouncy area, so if we did take that next leg down, I do think that it bounces quite strongly around that area. But yeah, 2 days not good. Yeah, two-day target would be 220. Yeah, that's not looking too hot. We have some bearish divergence at the top too, some pretty nasty ones too. 3 days, same thing. Yeah, three days not looking too hot either. Tron Cash, what's Tron Cash doing? Nice little doji diddle on the 3 day. Not bad. Daily, same thing though. It looks to me like it wants to kind of sweep the lows once again at 2.26. What does the weekly look like? Or the month? Or yeah, the weekly. Yeah, weekly resistance. If we pop back up and tested to like 2.45 cent, probably gonna be a sell. The only way that I really change that is if we take out the high of the prior at 256. Neocash, same thing. If this thing pops back up to $10, probably gonna be a sell. And that's exactly where the 200 simple is on the weekly, or sorry, on the daily. Not looking good. Monthly's looking like a rejection of the 10 simple. This is why I always say you have to wait until the end of the month. If you're gonna trade the monthly, you gotta wait till the end of the month. You gotta wait till the close. Things change around. They might look bullish over here, not so much over here when it actually comes down to push to shove. Weekly stocks crossing the downside. This wants to come back down. EOS. Well, this is on Finex. Finex looks like it wants to pop back up to 540. Fair enough. Maybe. Yeah, I mean on Finex it does look like it wants to pop back up to like $5 at the very least, and if things get taken out there, then 540 would be my next target. Should we go look at the euro? Euro lower time frames wants to pop back up to 112. Higher time frames still bearish. Probably going to be a sell. XRP cash. Bad weekly close. Weekly support is all the way down here at 2.5 cent. Or sorry, not 2.5 cent, 25.5 cent. Jesus Christ, going to get all the XRP people really mad about that one. Monthly, really, really bad. It's not a good setup. Daily, we could pop back up to 31 cent, maybe even 31.5 cent, and I'd probably still be a seller there. Here's the thing though for Ripple, he's been so resilient in this area, just making one massive descending triangle, right? So it's gonna put in some time going sideways here, most likely. It could retest this trend line multiple times too. We don't know how long it's gonna take, but overall, typically a more bearishly resolved pattern. Does have an apex way far out there though, so it could take some time. But here's the thing: if we break 28.5 cent to the downside, I'm looking for a move down to that 25 cent and probably lower than that, probably like 24 cent, and then I'd be looking for a big bounce. Monero Cash actually looks okay. Holding above the 200 simple. Again, do I think that is going to do its own thing when the rest of the market does not? Not really. Unless if this is just one massive bull flag. It's kind of retracing a lot for a bull flag though. Not sure how comfortable I feel with that one. Something like that. If it is, well, we can make a move on this. Let's actually do this one out. And let's see if it matches up with anything else. Yeah, it would match up with this area right here to right around $82 or so, $83. But I'm not sure how confident I feel on that one. If the rest of the market was gonna go south. Weekly had a bad close. Weekly resistance, well, did it? Hold on. Close 63.93. Okay, yeah, it did close above the 21, but did close below the 200. I give the nod to the 200. This one's also trading against Tether too, I believe, as it's on Poloniex. Weekly stuff's getting way up there too. Again, if the rest of the market wants to go down, this one's going to go down with it. Let's go look at traditional markets. Holy fucking moly, we are 1 day away from closing the monthly incredibly bullish. If the monthly closes like this, it's very likely that are we really not going to have a pullback before it go higher? That's so insane. Wow. Traditional markets is so fucking strong right now. It's crazy. Unless if we have like a massive down open today, I have a hard time looking at that. Monthly is going to be new highs. Or did we get new highs? No, we did not. We came about 50 cents shy. Jesus Christ, though. I'm going to hold off on saying anything pertinent on this until we get the monthly close. But if the monthly closes here or higher, or if the monthly closes anywhere above like 290, I'm a bull. I will be a bull. Looking for new highs. The bull market that never ends, baby. That never fucking ends. Let's go look at Dixie. Dixie's gonna be closing the monthly pretty strong. Now this is important as well because Dixie trades against the dollar trades against Bitcoin. Sorry, Dixie is the dollar index, and if we overlay Bitcoin's chart with it, we can kind of see that there's been some good carryover with the two. When Bitcoin was going straight parabolic for about 3 years, Dixie was putting in its tops right over here. Then when Bitcoin tops out right over here, Dixie puts in its bottoms right over here. Basically, Dixie's been bullish ever since. Bitcoin's been bearish ever since. On a monthly time frame. Lower time frames, yes, been bullish and bearish, in between. But on a monthly, it's been bearish ever since. So, yeah, this would be a more long-term breakout as well. If looking from the monthly perspective, I mean, I'd be looking at at the very least $100, but likely above $100. So, yeah. Wow. All right, back on Bitcoin. I'll start to wrap this bitch up. Been speaking long enough already. Okay, cool. So lower time frames, wrapping this up. Support 50-90. We break that area, looking down towards our next blue box territory right here. Would be my first target between 48 and 49. It's actually a little bit less than that. A little bit less. There we go. 48.80 to 47.80. There you go. And ultimately, while I do think that we bounce there, the bounce is likely to get faded, and we do find ourselves lower at around 4,500 after that. How long does that take to play out? No one fucking knows. But just like bounce here, probably come back up, test the lower 5,000s, and then come back down. By the same token, I am holding off putting on any sort of position right now until that actually happens, or if we were to march back up and maybe test around this area right here, test the upper Bollinger Band, test the daily 377 exponential, test the daily 10 moving average, test all this area right here, reset the oscillators just a little bit more. I'd love to take a position right there just because it would be very easy to manage risk upon. So from the daily perspective, if we close a daily doodle below the 21 exponential moving average at 51.30, I'm bearish for a move down to about 48. If we close above the blue 377 exponential right around 53.20, 53.20. Then I'm bullish for a move back up to the prior highs and likely beyond in confluence with the monthly. I do think that the downside is more likely here. If I had to put my opinion on it, that's what I'd say. But as for putting a trade on it, as you can see, I don't have a trade available right now. Unless if we actually take out this level right here or we pop back up and I can get a trade near the resistances, I will not take that trade. So that's what I'm going to be doing right now. That's essentially what I'm waiting for. I'll be back on later with some more live stream action, some more live stream analysis. Hopefully I can wake up a little bit more before then. And with that said, I want to wish you well, wish you a very happy and cryptocurrency-esque Monday. Take care and see you soon.